I can scarce credit it, but the last time I did one of these commentaries was in the third week of July last year, 2018. And in the interim, between then and now, I've undergone surgery for cancer with an extended recovery period, and I'm incredibly lucky, because I'm entirely cancer-free and now in a position to rejoin my colleagues at AIDS-Free World in the endless struggle for social justice in this fetid world. But you know, I have an overwhelming sense of déjà vu. It doesn't seem to have been much change between the middle of 2018 and the beginning of 2019. That narcissistic oaf is still in power in the United States, spreading malevolence around the world. We've got endless conflicts continuing everywhere, the worst being in Syria and Yemen. I was just reading that in Yemen, 85,000 children, that's the estimate, have died in the last 3 to 4 years, largely from starvation. It's beyond belief, and it's an incredible commentary on the permanent members of the Security Council of the United Nations who watched it all happening with absolute indifference. An astonishing commentary. And then there's the proliferation of millions upon millions of refugees, not merely from a situation like Myanmar, but new countries emerging. Millions leaving Venezuela for adjacent Latin American countries, millions, or at least hundreds of thousands, leaving northern Nigeria for adjacent African countries. It seems never to end. And then, again, equivalent to what happened before, we've had a more recent conference on climate change in Poland with a positive hyperbolic frenzy of a rhetoric which resulted in a degree of verbal pollution so extreme as to rival the discharge of carbon itself. And to try to find a glimmer of hope in the midst of all of this is really difficult. I couldn't find one until my co-director, Paula Donovan, reminded me that there is an obvious glimmer of optimism, and it's called the vote, the electoral process. And she's right, just look at the midterm elections in the United States. Now, undoubtedly, even where you have a legitimate election, as in Brazil, you can get an extreme right-wing despot elected, and the same has happened in Bangladesh, and God knows what will result of the counting of ballots in the Congo. But just take a look at the African continent generally. There'll be a profusion of elections this year in South Africa, Namibia, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Ghana, and Senegal. It will change the political landscape of the continent. And in my own country of Canada, there will be an election later this year, and the year following in 2020 we'll have an election in the United States of America where it is hoped that the lunatic who occupies center stage will be ushered off the stage and into a criminal indictment which he so richly deserves. I'm not a romantic about democracy, but it does provide the ballot box, and that's to be cherished. That was last week, indeed last year. I'm Stephen Lewis.